Hey everyone, this is a very interesting episode this week. I'm going to give you a clue. I used a bunch of AI to prep. Who knows what kind of slop you're going to get? I'm going to do the best I can. We're going to experiment together. It's going to be an interesting episode. It always is. I can promise you that. So don't miss this episode of the BattleCry. Hey everyone, Mark Meckler here with your Sunday evening battle cry, and we do, as always, have a call to action. Why do we do a call to action? I think this is one of the most important things we do because I believe in action. What does that really mean? Well, I'm a grassroots activist. A lot of you are grassroots activists. We call ourselves activists because we actually take action. We do things. Activists are active. Yeah, I know it seems obvious, but a lot of people come onto the web. They watch a video like this, they listen to podcasts, they read articles, they get angry, they throw shoes at the television, they yell at their friends who don't agree with them, they complain to their wives and kids, everybody says they're crazy, and then they do nothing. They don't do anything. And so it's really important that every week when we start this, I give you a call to action. If you do the things that I'm asking you to do, if you answer the call to action, if you really do your duty, there's one thing I can promise you for sure, you're going to make a difference. You're going to be something that I value highly. You're going to be the thing that I think is most important when we talk about saving the nation, which is you're going to be an activist. And that's a badge you should wear proudly. It's not just that you're politically engaged. It's not that you know what's going on. It's not that you're smarter than everybody else. Well, I mean, you're smarter than everybody else. I get that, but not all of us are. But what it means really is that you should wear that badge of honor that says, I'm an activist. I actually do something. I get petitions signed. I go out and I knock on doors. I do all these different things because I'm in action, because I know it's my responsibility to do more than just talk about saving the country or scream at the TV or whatever, all those other things. By the way, I'm not saying you shouldn't get the information or read the stuff or listen. All stuff's important. But if you don't turn it to action, well, I mean, I guess it's a hobby. Wouldn't make me happy. If I wasn't going to do anything, I would probably turn all that stuff off because I would just find it frustrating. So here's your call to action tonight. It's a little more broad than usual. I'm going to encourage you, grab a notebook, grab a piece of paper and a pencil, a pen, whatever your favorite writing utensil is. Maybe it's your iPad and you're going to take notes with all those little fingers. You're a fast typist. Go ahead and do that. And then I want you to take notes and I want you to note the things I'm asking you to do or telling you can do as we go through the broadcast tonight, and then do some of them, right? Because writing is good. That's better than just watching. But if you can't check some off the list by next week, that's not activism. That's listenism, watchism. I don't know what you could call it. But activism means you're actually doing something. So your call to action this week, get in the fight, write the things down in your notebook that you're going to do, the good ideas that you really like, presuming I ever have any good ideas, maybe once in a while. Then do some of that stuff. So that's what we're going to do. All right. So you're fired up, right? You've had time to get your notebook. Do I need to take a break? No, you can grab your notebook while you're listening. Grab your notebook, grab your pen, and let's get going. All right. There's a sort of an overarching theme right now. We're living through, I think, what is a very historic time. And I'm guessing maybe people in all time say they're living through a historic time, but we have a president right now who is one of a kind. By one of a kind, I mean one in all of history. There's never been another president like him. I don't know if there ever will be. I'd be stunned to see it in my own lifetime, that's for sure. Because if you look at Donald Trump, he is sort of this enigma wrapped in a mystery. How do you have a guy that's a billionaire, a successful real estate developer in New York, who has hobnobbed with the most powerful people on earth, the wealthiest people on earth, flies around now in Air Force One, but previously in a giant private jet that was probably fancier than Air Force One, stays in the finest hotels, builds the finest hotels. That's him, right? And he fights the globalist and fights the permanent elite ruling class that thought they would run the country forever. He was one of them. I mean, he actually is one of them in all the stature ways, and yet he's actually fighting them. And I think that's absolutely incredible. This is a new thing. So tonight, what I want the show to be about is how you, as an ordinary, I don't really think there's any ordinary, I would say extraordinary patriot, fights back by being an activist at the ground level, because the president can do it from up here. If there's no support down here, there's no structure, right? The president built all these skyscrapers and rehabbed all these beautiful hotels and skyscrapers. Got to have a foundation. You're the foundation. He may sit in the president's chair at the top of that little pinnacle on the top of the building, but the building falls down without you. Remember, they'll call you extremists for doing this stuff because why? Let's see. We want borders, extreme, of course. We want ballots, like safe ballots, and we demand things like biological reality. But the reality is we're not extreme. We are just connected to reality, and we're organized. And so your job is to be part of the organized. So again, grab your notebook. Let's get going. Let's hit tonight's reality, spirit, soul, and body. I'm going to add in a feature on physical health because I think this is really important. Then, of course, I'm taking your questions. Let's start with Iran, okay? Iran, this situation moving slow, sort of what you see in the media, but it's actually developing. Trump this week said, not buying a fake peace. Trump knows the game on Iran. He's been saying the same thing on Iran for 30 years. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and he's going to stop them from constantly kicking the United States. And by kicking, I mean something much more serious, killing U.S. citizens all around the globe, being a general pain in the backside to us. He's going to stop that stuff. He rejected their last ceasefire, in his words, totally unacceptable, called the deal in Trumpist terms a piece of garbage, and saying that the ceasefire is on life support. What did Iran ask for? Now, remember, this is a country whose military is completely destroyed, Navy destroyed, Air Force destroyed, air defenses destroyed, economy basically on life support destroyed, blockade fully in place, no oil going down, oil wells having to shut down. And their position, well, here's what they want. An end of the war on all fronts, essentially that's just a surrender for us. Lifting the U.S. naval blockade. That smells like surrender, right? And release of all frozen assets. Oh, another surrender term for the United States. Look, Trump got it. He said Iran's been playing games for 50 years, and they're not going to laugh any longer because he's done playing games with them. It's important to remember that this has been going on for 40 plus years. 47 years ago, I guess the regime took over roughly. They took our embassy, took hostages. Republicans and Democrats both have handed the Iranian mullahs pallets of cash, all kinds of great deals. Meanwhile, they're shouting death to America. Trump's the first president in my lifetime to stare them down and say, they're not going to laugh anymore. He's done with it. And I think he's demonstrated pretty clearly, if you mess with Trump, you might get the special Maduro tracksuit if you're lucky and end up in a jail where nobody hears from you if you're lucky, or you might end up with a Patriot missile, where the sun don't shine. So I think this is incredible. No more fake peace bought with your tax dollars. Trump's going for the whole shebang, and I love that. Also, I want you to think about Trump met with China this week, and what does this mean for China? Because I think if you look at Iran and you just look at it on the surface level and you just say Iran, 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 that's a totally different analysis than trying to understand what's going on in the bigger thing. He's pressing China. He's meeting with Xi. I don't know what was said behind closed doors, but it might have gone something like this. Listen, Xi, 47 to 50% of all your oil comes through the Straits, and you're not getting it right now. How's that feel? How's that working for you? How are you going to do over the long haul without 40 to 50% of your oil? I'm using the vast economic power of the United States against you. So you're going to have to deal with that. And it seems like he came away with a pretty good deal from China, is what it seemed like to me. China said for the first time, Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. China said for the first time publicly that, according to Trump, that the Straits of Hormuz must be open, there will be no tolls, and that Iran can't control it. So I think this is really impressive. He's pressing on China, their main oil customer. It's in their interest to do so, to lean on Tehran using economic power instead of surrender. I think that's really smart. So what can you do? Here's what you can do. Write this down. Call your member of Congress. Tell them to back the president's maximum pressure position. No sanctions relief, no payoff, nothing until the terror regime completely surrenders and capitulates. Don't forget to pray. We should pray about all this stuff. Pray for wisdom and courage, not for weak deals, just to make headlines happy. All right, let's move on to something domestic, and that is redistricting. They're moving the lines right now while people argue about it online. Mid-decade redistricting is not that common, but it's happening right now in multiple states as we head into 2026. This is super interesting. You had the Calais decision. You guys know about that. No more racial gerrymandering. Makes sense. You can't design districts based on racism. What do you think about that? By the way, I have to say, the name Calais, that's the named plaintiff in the case in the Supreme Court that in which this was decided. You want to be proud? Calais is a former district captain for Convention of States. Stepping up to the line, hitting the home run as a plaintiff. I'm sure that wasn't easy. Mr. Calais, thank you, my friend. We appreciate you at Convention of States. We appreciate, by the way, one of our longtime lawyers, Ed Grime. He argued that before the United States Supreme Court. So you didn't even know it. You're a COS fan. If you support us financially, and you should, go to conventionofstates.com and press on the donate button. If you do that, look what happens. You get one of the most important Supreme Court decisions in history comes out of that. Some of the GOP-held states right now are using the device to shore up or to increase Republican seats. Others, and these would be obviously the left-leaning states, are trying to create new Democrat-friendly districts, maybe around urban areas. So I think this is really important for you to pay attention to when you're looking at the news through a nuanced lens. When you're looking at election nights, the most important ones you never hear about, those might be the line drawing ones in state houses and commissions, right? So you got to look what's going on in your state house right now or in your election commission. Look how the lines get drawn, because those lines are going to make the difference. If you go to sleep on redistricting, if you're not paying attention on redistricting, then we could lose. And if they win on redistricting, they could lock in victories, not just for a year or 2 or 3 or 4, for a decade. When we show up, if we show up, we can convert a blue seat to a red seat for a decade, at least, right? So really important. So find out, this is your call to action. Write it down in your notebook, right? This is important. Who controls your lines? Is that a commission? Is it a legislature? Is it a court? You should know that. Is there a hearing? You should go to that. Is there a commission that's meeting that you could go to? You should go to that. Is there a public comment window? You should comment on that. Write that stuff down. Pick one. Testify, submit written comments, or help recruit a local citizen who will. That's a specific call to action for you. All right, moving on, still domestic. Let's talk about the deep state. I hate talking about the deep state because sometimes it's really depressing, but we're starting to expose a whole bunch of great stuff. If you want to see the best exposés on the deep state, go to justthenews.com. They're breaking a lot of great stories. Full disclosure, I'm the CEO of justthenews.com, but some of the best stuff's coming out of there. Tulsi Gabbard released newly declassified documents showing that the Intelligence Community Inspector General Michael Atkinson relied on a partisan Democrat whistleblower and biased witnesses to drive a complaint that helped trigger Trump's first impeachment. Are you surprised to hear that? I mean, we all knew that already, but now the documents are coming out and they're showing this coordinated effort inside parts of the intelligence community and coordinating Congress to manufacture the conspiracy to remove Trump. Building on the same network, the exact same network that pushed the original 2017 Russia assessment, quote unquote. So look, as I said earlier, we're called conspiracy theorists because we knew. We knew that. You knew. I knew all that. And they were conspiracy theorists. But now you have the DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, handing us the paperwork proving it existed, a a genuine conspiracy to take down a president that the voters choose. This is why Trump calls it the deep state. This is why it is the deep state. It's not a movie villain. This is mid-level lawyers, analysts, inspector generals. They think they're above the people. They're not. The real question is, are they going to go to jail? I mean, I really think that's the thing. I feel this way. I know you feel this way too. Like, oh, wow, another report from Tulsi Gabbard. Oh, wow, another IG, whatever. And here's what we need to have. These reports can't just be mistakes were made. What do we want? We want prosecutions, we want firings, and we want budget cuts for anybody who used quote unquote secret tools and secret files against voters and against the sitting president of the United States. We have to make every candidate answer one question going into the 2026 elections. If I'm at a town hall, if I'm interviewing a candidate, I'm going to ask this question. Are you going to vote to defund and dismantle the parts of the intel and law enforcement bureaucracy that targeted Trump and his supporters? Are you going to throw them in jail? Are you going to push to prosecute them? That's more than one question. I realize it, but I get excited when I'm talking about this. If somebody tells me, oh, I don't know, we can't, I'm not sure we're going to, they're not getting my vote. They're just not. Speaking of votes, we're going to go to a very specific race. I think this is a really important one to watch. And this is Thomas Massie versus Ed Golrin. Golrin is a former Navy SEAL, seems like a good, solid candidate. I don't know him that well. Not in the news near as much as Massie. Massie's been in the news a lot lately for some controversial stuff. I don't even want to go into it. It's sorted. Let's put it that way. I don't know what's true and what's not true, but there's a lot of controversy around Massie right now. There is actually one poll now showing that Golrin's ahead. I think the majority of polls are still showing it within 3 points or so, but there is one showing him at 48-43. I think the undecided seem to be breaking towards Golrin. Look, Massie, the problem with Massie, I mean, mostly he votes the way you or I would vote. The problem is he's been sort of a permanent thorn in Trump's side. That makes this one of the most closely watched and expensive GOP races. The president has weighed in. And so the question is, in this race, that I would say the test of the race, for lack of putting it a better way, is can you wear the Republican flag? Can you wear that R on your chest, fight Trump's agenda, and still skate for the team? Or is the base going to retire you? Are they going to throw you off the team because you're not with the coach? And I don't feel like Trump's trying to purify the party for his ego. I think he's trying to replace permanent opposition Republicans with people who are going to pass what you voted for. And like I said, while Massie agrees with the president a lot, there's things that you voted for that Massie is not going to support. And it's not just that he doesn't support it. It's not that we can't tolerate dissent. It's that he is an open, outspoken, radical opponent of the president in a whole bunch of issues. This race is going to tell us a lot. And it's not just whether Massie wins or loses, by the way. It's by how much. Like, Massie is a 75% plus winner in his previous primaries. If he's at 55 or 53 or something like that, that tells you something. It tells you that Trump is strong, that he controls MAGA, and that overcomes Massie's personal appeal with his base right there in his own district. If he wins by 60 or more, it tells you that personal pull in district and personal loyalty is going to overcome the president and a lot of money. So it's an interesting race. If you're in Kentucky 4, that's where this race is, then here's your call to action. It's not going to be a lot of you, but vote. Bring a couple friends when you vote. Don't go vote along, and don't assume that Massie's name idea is going to save him. It might. Incumbents survive on name recognition, but if you vote and you don't like Massie, I'm not telling you how to vote, but if you don't like Massie, go vote and bring two people with you that feel the same. Also, everywhere else, identify your Massie. Look, if you have a Republican who loves the cameras but hates our agenda, there's a whole bunch of them. Well, you need to decide now whether you're going to primary them or replace them with someone who's going to support the movement. So you got to look at the alternative candidates and figure out, how can you remove the people who don't support the movement? All right, let's talk about more deep state stuff, but on a different and kind of weird subject. I don't know if we have weird theme music we can play right here, kind of woo, woo. Transparency or distraction. So Trump's ordered agencies to declassify a whole new swath of UFO or UAP releases, unidentified flying phenomenon, with the DNI and the Pentagon anomaly offices coordinating disclosures. Trump teasing very intriguing material coming. Some in the media and others allege this is a distraction from conflicts like Iran. I don't know. There's, you got a whistleblower fighting around Tulsi's office, showing the intelligence world still trying to obscure stuff. Is it a distraction? Is it real? I have no idea. Look, but whether or not you care about UFOs, I find it kind of interesting. I wouldn't say I care, but I find it kind of interesting. You should care about what they represent. This is the important part, in my opinion, as an activist. They represent literally decades of secrecy, classification games, and contempt for you, the people who pay the bills. And so that's the reason to care about it. You and I should want sunlight on everything, literally everything. UFOs, FISA, Epstein, Russiagate. The deep state loses when the lights come on. And so that's what I see this as, is just a representation of all the games that government plays about all of this stuff. So you should demand transparency planks in 2026. Every candidate should be pushed on declassification, not just tax cuts. It's both. And I encourage you, don't fall for every shiny leak. Don't fall for every conspiracy theory, but I'm not saying dismiss them either. Organize around verifiable facts that you and I can act on. Demand the facts. That's what I'm saying. Like that, what I'm saying there, to be clear, is don't believe Candace Owens. Don't believe Tucker Carlson and his lunatic yes who just say stuff. You can verify this stuff for yourself. You're smart enough. I trust you. All right, we're going to throw in a new segment here, which is really about you and your health and your body. This is a subject I follow a lot. You're seeing it rising with the Maha movement. I'm going to start doing this more. I want to talk about metabolic health. You might not even know what that means. Metabolic sovereignty, let's call it, because we believe that we're sovereign citizens here in the United States over the United States government. By the way, I want to clarify, I don't mean that like there's something called the sovereign citizen movement. Yeah, I'm not one of them. I just mean it in that the government's our government. We don't belong to the government. It's the other way around. So if you believe that you have agency and that you're supposed to be in charge of your own life, living according to God's laws, which is how it's supposed to be in a Judeo-Christian framework, which is what we live in, you're supposed to take care of your own body. You know that this is a gift given to us by the Lord. So if you want to put it in faith terms, but you only get one. And metabolic health, I can tell you, it's blood sugar, muscle mass, sleep, the things that drive your metabolism. It's a huge driver of disease and resilience. But their system, when I say the system, I mean our food system, what we grow, what's sold to us by the food companies, what the government generally pushes on us still. What's it selling us? It's selling us ultra-processed food, chronic stress, not enough sleep, and of course, importantly, a pill that you pop for whatever your symptoms are. It's not telling you how to repair yourself metabolically. And so it's our job to take care of ourselves that way. If this is all mumbo jumbo to you, I completely understand, but I recommend you get on the train. A government that wants you dependent also really actually wants you tired and sick. Food companies that want you dependent. Big agro that wants you independent. It's easier for them if you're tired, you're sick, and you're distracted. If you're going to be a self-governing person, and we're going to be a self-governing nation, self-governing people, then what do we need? We need clarity. We need strength. We need energy. And you get that by taking care of yourself physically. So here's some practical tips. This is one for you to write down in your notebook. We talked about doing that. And you can actually do this pretty easy. For the next 7 days, until I see you again on the BattleCry, I'm going to ask you to do something. Cut sugar, and ultra processed snacks out of your diet. So I want you to look at the labels. If it's got a bunch of stuff on the label and you don't know what that stuff is, don't eat it. That's not complicated. I'm not telling you have to identify particular compounds or chemical. Like if you read that label and it's like that long, that should be enough to tell you shouldn't eat it. But if it's got a bunch of dextrohydropolychloraminic acid, all kinds of stuff like that you can't understand what it means, you probably can't even pronounce it, don't eat it. Don't drink sodas. They got a lot of sugar in them. Don't drink the diet sodas. They got a lot of chemicals in them. Just for 1 week, cut all that stuff out. You'll feel better. I promise you. You'll be more clear here. You might crave that stuff because that stuff is designed to make you crave it. But I know you because I come out and I hang out with you and I travel all over the country with you. I am you. We together, we're stronger than that stuff. They're trying to poison us. And I don't mean that they're like, oh yeah, let's give them this stuff and make them sick. I mean, they're saying if we put this stuff in there, we know what it will do. This is what the food companies are saying. It will make them addicted to that stuff. We'll make a lot of money off of it. Don't fall prey to that. Also, here's a strength decision. So that was your food decision, your strength decision. Lift something heavy 3 times a week. And you don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to pump iron. I love the gym. I love pumping iron. You don't have to do that stuff. Just literally do some push-ups. If you can't do regular push-ups, do knee push-ups. Like get on your knees instead of on your toes. If you can't even do those, do them at an angle against a sink or something, a counter. Like just do push-ups. Lift something. Do air squats. If air squats are too hard, hold onto the counter and do air squats. If that's too hard, then do them halfway. Don't do them all the way. Do something to lift something. Resistance exercise is one of the best things you can do, not just for your body, for your metabolic health, and for your mind as well. And then here's a sleep decision. Pick a consistent shutdown time for your evening and protect it like you have a meeting with the president. Like you're going to make that meeting no matter what. You have a sit down with Donald Trump at 8 p.m. What's going to keep you from doing that sit down? The answer is nothing is going to keep you from doing that sit down. So pick your time. I'm generally in bed every night relatively early. Like I'm going to bed, I try between 9 and 10. That's pretty much it. And I try to hit it even more specifically, like 9:30. If I can get 9:30 every night, I'm really happy about that. I try to sleep a consistent amount, 8 to 9 hours every night. If you do this, you're going to feel a lot better. If you take dominion over your health, that's literally part of taking dominion over your country because it means that you're sovereign over your own body, your own food intake, your own feelings about how you feel. All that stuff's super important. So we're going to start helping each other take care of ourselves because I need you strong in the fight for the country. All right, I promised you every week I'm going to give you one AI tip. Here's the AI tip for this week. All of you have homeowners insurance, car insurance, health insurance, but specifically the one I want you to look at is look at your car insurance. Pull up your policy, feed it into whatever AI engine you use. By feed it, I would just say, ask for a download of your policy and your rates and your coverages. You can get that on the website, on the app for your insurance, your auto insurance. Copy and paste that into AI. It could be Grok, it could be ChatGPT, it could be Perplexity, which is what I usually use. And just say, look at this policy and tell me how I can improve my rates. By the way, it will. Most of us are not getting the best rates we possibly can, and it will adjust your coverage. It might ask you some questions about it. I always say, ask me questions you need me to answer to give me the best answer possible. Have it ask you those questions, and then tell it, give me a script to talk to my insurance agent to get better rates, or my insurance company to get better rates. You want to save yourself a few $100 a year? I mean, you can watch all the commercials. Everybody tells you they'll save you a few $100 a year, or you can know how to represent yourself with any insurance company. Use AI for something practical. Save yourself a few $100 a year. I'm almost positive. Send me the stories of what you think you're going to be able to save. I think that would be super cool. All right. we're going to do a Q&A, but one of the things I want to encourage you to do in the Q&A sections is I'm talking about a lot of stuff. If it brings up any questions for you for next week, go ahead and do that. I mean, you can send me questions about last week for this coming week. I'm going to go to the Q&A. Before I do, I've got a few reminders for you like I always do. First of all, really, really important. Like this video, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. I want to see the subscriptions going up. They're not going up fast enough. I hate to complain about you guys, but tell your friends. Let's increase the number of subscriptions here. Hit the notification bell so when a new one comes up, you don't miss it. You don't forget. And when I'm out in the field, by the way, a bunch of you guys come up to me and tell me how much you like the BattleCry. That means a lot to me. And it's not about my ego. It's just I'm sitting here in front of a camera. Like it's me and the dogs. You can see how hard the dogs are working for you back there. I think we got one on each side here, right? They're both back there, I promise you. I guess Doc's over here. Doc's straight behind. Winston's over here. We do this. We stare into the camera. I say we, they're not doing much staring. I don't know what's going on out there. I don't get reactions from you because I'm not in front of a live audience, which is what I love more than anything. But I'm here with you and I'm putting my heart and soul into it for you. And so when you like, subscribe, when you send in questions or when you come up to me in the field and tell me, hey, we appreciate the BattleCry, means the world to me. Again, not for my ego, just nice to know that you're here with me and I'm not talking into the void. All right. Don't forget, sign the open letter to Trump, conventionofstates.com/Trump. Don't forget, we're in the middle of our veterans petition push, trying to get over 350,000 veterans to sign the petition. Indicate you're a veteran when you do. We're coming up on 340,000. We're trying to do this before the end of May. Remember, I was trying to push you harder. Let's see if we can push past 350, maybe even to 400. Tell every veteran you know to sign that petition. If you want to ask me a question, please. Do I need to beg? I'm begging. Ask me questions. More questions are better questions. Go to conventionofstates.com/ask Mark. All right, I'm going to start with Maureen Richvalsky. Maureen lives in New Jersey, strongly supports Convention of States effort. I've written my state representative requesting they vote for this to no avail. New Jersey is run by left-wing liberal lunatics who do not represent any conservative constituents. How can rational citizens in New Jersey be heard? Do what you're doing. I know it seems fruitless and frustrating, but keep doing that. The numbers matter and doing it over and over matters. Don't just go away because they ignore you. Go to the Capitol. When we have our surge days, which we do every year, New Jersey has surge days. Go join the state team and go to the Capitol. Look, we probably, I want to say in New Jersey, I don't know how many we'll get. 50 people go to a surge, 40 people go to the surge. What if we had 400 people? Or 500 people. I promise you, Maureen, there's 500 people like you in New Jersey feel exactly like you do about Convention States. You show up with 500 people at that Capitol, that makes the biggest difference. So don't just call and email. Go volunteer. Join the state team. All right, Damon Ainsworth says, I love some great Texas barbecue biscuit. I want my children and their children to enjoy great barbecue and experience what was once the great American dream. We must do something or we will lose our country or end up in a very nasty civil war. Well, I mean, first of all, when you say you love great Texas barbecue brisket, that means you're a normal, rational, red-blooded American human male, specifically. Like all of those things just come into play when you say you love yourself some Texas barbecue brisket. When you say you want your kids to experience what was once the great American dream, they can. It still exists, and you're raising them right to do that. And you are right that we must do something. That's why my theme all night has been write it down and go do it. So, Damon, even more than eating brisket, if you're not already a member of your state team, join your state team, get out there and do something that's critically important. I know before we close out, there was one more thing I want to do. A special treat, which is Producer G has a video that he wants me to watch and then respond to. I do this every now and then when I get asked by Producer G or one of you. So Producer G, go ahead and roll the tape and we will close out by responding to the video.
Shows Americans believe many members of Congress are too old. NPR's Elena Moore reports on the latest findings from NPR, PBS News, and Marist.
The poll looked at support for maximum age limits and term limits for members of Congress, and it found that the vast majority of Americans, 8 in 10, support both. It's also got bipartisan backing. 78% of Democrats and 83% of Republicans like the idea of age caps, and similar amounts support term limits. 18-year-old Michael Hatch of Eudora, Kansas feels that way about leaders in Washington.
They just might be out of touch. You got 70, 80-year-olds in Congress running the country. It's not representing people like me.
But support for age and term limits goes past young folks. The generation with the most support, Gen X, folks in their late 40s to early 60s. Elena Moore, NPR News.
Yeah. And does that surprise you? In any way, does that surprise you? Like, that's called just stating the obvious. We've known this. By the way, this polling goes back 30 or 40 years. Same numbers, totally bipartisan, cross-partisan. The numbers between parties are close enough to be identical. They'll flip back and forth a few points depending on who's in office. But yeah, like, why do we have a bunch of octogenarians running the country? It's not for wisdom. I mean, no offense. I know some sharp 80-plus-year-olds for sure. I don't think most of them are in Congress, though. Look, and Congress is not a place for 80-plus-year-olds. It requires incredible stamina. It should require sharpness of mind. And by the way, this is really important. It should require people who have a vested interest personally in the future. What do I mean by that? I can guarantee you all those people that they showed on the screen, none of them on a bipartisan basis know the first thing about AI. None of them use AI. None of them actually care about AI, to be honest with you. They don't even really know what it is, honestly. And so it takes people who are a little bit younger, who are still in the game, who are still doing business, who are still using the latest tech. You know, when people get to a certain age, they stop being interested in whatever the latest tech is. So those people shouldn't be running the country. Age caps, yes. Term limits, yes. But I have a huge, huge caveat here. I do not want to term limit Congress if you don't term limit staffers and bureaucrats. Why? Because you will just make them more powerful. Now imagine the staffers can be there 30, 40 years and Congress terms out. Who's going to have the power? Who's going to know where all the bells and whistles are? Who's going to know where all the levers and buttons are? Who's going to know to call for who for what? It's going to be the staffer. It's going to be the bureaucrat. So that's why the Convention of States resolution in our application says government officials, because it allows you to term limits, not just Congress, but also staffers and bureaucrats. So I appreciate whoever suggested that video. Thanks for suggesting it. I think it's good, it's true, and no kidding. Anybody surprised? Hey guys, thanks for watching the Battle Cry this week. I appreciate you more than you can possibly know. The reason I sit here and do this every week is for you, because of you. So let me hear from you. I appreciate you guys. God bless you. And I promise we're going to see you next week on the Battle Cry.